Hello everyone and welcome to another video. How is everyone doing and how has life been treating you? As for myself, I am fine. I have been away for quite a few weeks now, mainly due to some family reunions and spending quality time with my daughter. You know how these things go day after day. You find yourself in a location with no connection. So yeah, it was nice and relaxing and I did enjoy my time. However, I did not even check the state of League of Legends during that whole period. And I did this for only one reason: to have a fresh mental state. Because as most of you know, creativity requires some time. Sometimes if you find yourself exhausted from work and family, playing video games, you need time where you can just relax, chill, and play some mundane games like checkers. Anything that will keep your mind at a low activity level. But now, we are back, strong, healthy, and motivated to climb the ladder again, and possibly discover some interesting builds in this beautiful game called League of Legends. For today's video, I am bringing out a new build that I find very successful, especially not on the weekends, but outside of that, it is super strong. This build revolves around two items: Unending Despair and Spirit Visage. Through my experimentations, I found that this build had two adaptations. You can either go with Aftershock, and I will tell you why later in this video, or you can go with Conqueror. The nice thing about Conqueror is that Unending Despair procs stacks of Conqueror continuously, and keeps the stacks up when fully stacked. This is something very broken in my opinion. In certain situations, landing your auto attacks can be almost impossible for you, since you will be bombarded the first instant you show your face to the enemy team. That is why Aftershock is the way to go. You simply stun someone, get the instant tankiness, and before the buff of Aftershock wear off, if you get a little bit of luck, you get your first healing, then the second, and you keep regenerating as the fight goes on. In this game, we are facing a somewhat soft composition. This game was before I started the Conqueror adaptation. My goal with Aftershock was mainly to utilize the 3 runes that benefit this build completely. For example, against this enemy composition, Aftershock is a little bit of an overkill. If you were facing a heavy damage composition like Kog'Maw, Lulu, and Vayne with no tank on the enemy team, Aftershock would have been much more beneficial than Conqueror. Now that we are done with the build presentation, we will talk about how to play the game to either reach this build or how to play when you are fully stacked with items. For example, in this game, we are facing a DPS composition. Passive healing is good against 2 things. It is good against AD compositions because you are rushing Unending Despair, which is an armor item, and mainly DPS compositions that do consistent damage. The build offers consistent healing, so you even out the trade in your favor as the game progresses. However, this build is very bad against poke and burst compositions, which is why Aftershock is very useful against burst champs. The sad part is that it will be a bit screwed if you are facing a heavy magic damage composition, since you'll be starting with Spirit Visage. That item is bad as it is, and it is only viable as your second or third item. So the option against a magic damage composition is to go Rod of Ages into Spirit Visage, and then close with Unending Despair or Navori, depending on how you see the game going. If the game is going against you or hardly in your favor, go with Unending Despair, otherwise, go Navori. And if they don't have a strong attack damage dealer, then I suggest you go with Force of Nature. So yeah, that sums it up for your mindset towards this build. Now, how do you play with this build? First, you need to farm. Usually, I only invade champions that I have the ultimate confidence that I can kill in a 1v1. Or if I am not able to kill them, they can't kill me. For example, if you invade Sejuani, Amumu, or Shyvana, any champion that requires a power spike at their level 6. From there, you go and camp the top side. It is not a given in this split. In the second split, Riot method of fixing the game, they shifted the focus from the top side to the bot side. At the start of the season, they buff bruisers, then tanks, then enchanters. Then at the end, they buff mages and ADCs. Hence, usually you should start ganking your bot side because they have the most impact in the game theoretically. But if you have some experience, you will know that ganking against Yorick is mostly in favor of your team. And if you camp that lane, you kill any chance for Yorick to make a comeback unless he's a very good Yorick. So yeah, I went and paid Yorick a visit. I know the terrifying truth about Yorick players. If left unchecked, they can end the game in one push. For example, we group around the Baron and he doesn't show up to the party. Suddenly he's on the sideline. That lane has 2 waves crashing under the tower. If he starts a fight, the game is over. The fight doesn't matter. The only purpose of the fight is to keep us from recalling. So yeah, the weaker Yorick is, the better for us. The second thing with this build is that if you get ahead, it is not a cheap build. It is, on average, not the cheapest. But if you get just a little ahead, I'm talking about 2 to 3 assists, or 1 to 2 kills, you can get to unending despair much quicker. You will be almost unkillable in the mid-game. Sadly, ADCs and mages don't have enough output to burst you. I went in this game for Swifties because I'm starting to adopt this new mentality that dodging is equivalent to infinite resistance. It is almost as if you are invulnerable. You cannot take damage. I only go for Mercury's Treads if they have hard CC champions. For example, Leona, Lulu, those annoying champions. So yeah, whenever they have that hard CC that can stick you in the corner, you should get Mercury's Treads. But I really don't like them because they install in your mind the mentality that you should be able to take a stun. In reality, you should dodge every crown control, touch no one, and take no hits. And don't think about bringing out the fact I should take the stun for my team or AD carry. Why? Because my ADC is bad, I should take the hit for them. Maybe if they are good and everyone is focusing them, then I will start to screen or peel for them so that they can play and output their damage. But other than that, it would be better to let them focus on the useless players first. And perhaps you can get in and kill their valuable targets. This game is a good example of why you should not care much about your team until they prove they are worthy of your assistance. Since Orianna got her ultimate, Lulu and mid always get hit, both at the center. At first you would say, well, first time Orianna may be a skilled player, it is okay. But the second time, you start questioning the sanity of your allies. The only way to make something right is to teach someone in a friendly, amicable way. Hey man, you are not aware of your position in the team fight? Even that doesn't help. So the only way for you to help your team in this situation is to attack the source of the problem. They used to say that if you have a problem, kill the person making this problem, and the problem will go away by itself. We will adopt the same logic in this case. Even with this, we are still having another problem. We are going for a DPS healing build, and our ADC is nowhere to be seen and split pushing. I'm left with 2 useless champions. One that throws rocks and the other one, a Yordle or something. I don't know what it is. It just gives you some boosts here and there. The recurrence of these unfortunate events will only lead to one course of action. Either I will become an incredible beast, or we will lose the game because my teammates are crumbling from within. I think our ADC's ego is too inflated to let him group and be the secondary main character. Our top side is dealing with Yorick, which is understandable, and I'm left alone to face the enemy. Thankfully, this build enables us to stall the game until our ADC is satisfied enough with the build that he's having, so we can start to win proper team fights. Still, our earlier invade allowed us to instill fear in the enemy jungler. Let me tell you something. This strategy of invading the jungler at level 2. Sometimes I do it before the camps even start. This will ignite 2 types of scenarios. 1, the enemy jungler will cower away. Not contesting, not fighting, just farming, blaming his teammates, and you would possibly win the game. Or you will make the enemy jungler very angry, and he will start to play very aggressively and make rash decisions. Sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't. If his allies support him, he gets through and makes something out of it. If not, you should be able to win the 1v1 and build properly because you will be dueling that person for the whole game. It's like a revenge mission. Due to our earlier invade, we are still here, strong in the mid-game and starting late game with the slow fallback or throw from our side, because we are not able to push or make any impact in the game. Now that we are starting the late game, we should have experimented enough in the mid-game, and I can say for sure that we have reached a critical point. We need to make a gamble. In other words, we need to force a play because we are slowly losing, and if this keeps going on, we will most likely lose the game in the next 5 minutes. So the idea was that we would push for the win, or at least force the topside inhibitor, preferably. Then go do Baron Recall. Apply the same pressure from the bot side, pressure the Drake into the Elder, and into the endgame. Sounds good. But if the enemy team thinks like us, we will have something just like this. Since they have Yorick, the odds are they will think to split push and end the game. Every Yorick player I know never gives up. This is what I like about Yorick players. They never give up. 0 to 20 deaths, and he's still pushing for the win. Just one mistake, left unchecked, and the game is over. So yeah, the gamble was successful because we were facing a 4v3. We managed to get the inhibitor, and thankfully we recalled and got back to base to stop their push and settle down for another standoff. But right now, my team is aligned on the same vision that I have had since the start of the game. Whenever I play against a split push champion, this is the scenario I envision because, as a team, to play as one, we should think as one. And to think as one, we should see the same thing in our mind. Now we know for a fact that if we do not group, kill Yorick, or make an impactful play in the upcoming minutes, this game is simply GG. Now back to another point. What should we build at this stage of the game? So far, the enemy team couldn't kill me properly, which indicates that we have some leeway to take an offensive edge. Our favorite item, Navori, will enable us to fight the enemy more effectively and withstand their damage output. It gives us attack speed, movement speed, cooldown reset, everything you want in a fighter. However, if the enemy manages to build properly and reach their fourth item, they will cut through us like a hot knife through butter. So we should be very careful and aware of what the enemy team is building to counter us. We are the only front line in this game so far. Garen is not with us. He is split pushing to mitigate the damage done by Yorick. He managed to 1v1 the Garen in the mid-game. I don't know how or why, but he landed all his damage. And the ghouls did all the work. Something like that. So yeah, all that earlier shenanigans have led us to this specific moment in the game where we are almost even. The score doesn't matter. The team that makes the first mistake will lose the game. Hopefully it won't be us or some stupid ally who dies randomly while trying to ward in the jungle. And hopefully, their Nautilus will try to hook someone and fail miserably, giving us the opportunity to capitalize on that mistake. Here I simply backed off because the risk was too high. In the late game, one mistake could be disastrous. Yorick might start a fight, or anyone could start a fight and we would get caught in the middle of the action. Even if he doesn't have teleport, we could start a bad fight. Then the enemy would chase us to the base, and this will create a situation where the minions will simply end the game by themselves. Now that we've eliminated any hope for them to end the game randomly, it's time to group and make a massive play. What I mean by that is focusing on Orianna, who has been a thorn in my side since the start of the game. If I have all my summoners, I can deal with her effectively. Luckily in this game I went for Flash. The moment I see the slightest misstep in her positioning, I will flash and kill her. Our build is not something to sneeze at. If there is no one to peel for their carry, we will eventually kill them. As you can see, Orianna is having a very hard time dealing with us with Ezreal as well. I was thinking of going for Jackshow, so that we are not just tanky but beyond Omega level tanky. The enemy can't output enough damage to match us. And with this, my dear viewers, our time together has reached an end. Believe it or not, this game was fun, and I have plenty of other games like this on my YouTube live stream section. I've decided to start streaming daily around 11 PM GMT, so you're welcome to come and check out the stream. It's nothing fancy, to be honest. Just 3 to 4 games per day where we can chill, discuss more about viable builds, and enjoy our time together. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think about Volibear in this patch. Take care everyone, and until the next video. Peace.